Welcome to North Carolina Sports, where everything is terrible. Where do I even begin? How about the Carolina Panthers, who are now 1-5 thanks to a loss in New Orleans, where last year's Super Bowl runner-up had the nerve to dig itself out of a 21-0 hole, only to lose on a 50-plus yard field goal. That gives the Panthers a loss on a made last-second 50-yard field goal and a loss on a missed last-second 50-yard field goal already this season. To top that off, Cam Newton didn't want to answer questions in the press conference, which is fine if you're Bill Belichick, but apparently not if you're Cam Newton. So we get to hear people talk about that nonstop. The Panthers' season in summary to this point, they get sacked, they don't get sacks, and their kicker kind of sucks right now. College football had been off to a decent start, but this weekend the North Carolina teams were supposed to get road graded by the upper crust of the ACC. Now, UNC won their game on the road in an upset. Great, good for you, Heels. You know, UNC, if you're so good against Hurricanes, why all the complaints about the weather last weekend against Virginia Tech, And Wake Forest was still a stomach virus wiping out Florida State's defensive starters away from upsetting the Noles. But meanwhile, Duke and NC State fans had to endure two of the more brutal losses they've seen in some time against two of the top 10 teams in the country. If you were following the four-game parlay that Sports Channel 8 proudly laid down on North Carolina's four ACC schools, hashtag 401k parlay, you know that Friday night was an intense watch. Duke had Louisville kicking a long field goal late that, even if made, would have given the Blue Devils the ball with plenty of time and confidence to make a game-winning drive. Instead, the missed kick was nullified by a weak but correct roughing call that meant Duke basically had no chance. But even more gut-wrenching was watching NC State fight toe-to-toe with Clemson in Death Valley, only to watch a short, potential game-winning field goal stray to the right as time expired. The overtime result in that one was as inevitable as seeing a 75-foot Chandler Parsons heave fly through a basket. This happens so often, they should probably have a name for all the crappy things that seem to happen to NC State. Shouldn't they? But of course, it's October, which means the dawn of a new season and hopefully a new day for the Carolina Hurricanes, who haven't made the playoffs since 2009, if you hadn't heard. The Hurricanes often have to start the season with a long road stretch thanks to the North Carolina State Fair, which also explains why no Hurricanes player has ever won the decorated chicken egg competition at the North Carolina State Fair. And speaking of not winning, the Canes are trying a different approach to games this season, scoring goals. And it appears to be a sound strategy, as twice in 2 games they've held 3-goal leads. And twice in 2 games they've blown those leads and lost the games in overtime. I mean, what the hell, sports gods? Is it not enough that 1/3 of the state's high school fall sports seasons have become meaningless side stories to the lives of communities that have been shattered by the flooding from Hurricane Matthew? Is it not enough that North Carolina is a political battleground state, meaning that you can't watch a football game in primetime right now without a candidate for office buying ad time to tell you how terrible the other candidate for that office is? Is it not enough that these same politicians have already cost us an NBA All-Star game and the NCAA tournaments? How about that we lost the Super Bowl this year? How about that we already lost an NCAA title game this year on a last-second buzzer beater? What's next for North Carolina? Frank Kaminsky starting for the Hornets, is that it? The Durham Bulls announcing a move to Buffalo? The FDA declaring that pork barbecue and delicious craft beer are bad for you? I don't want to hear it. You know what? Here's what we're going to do, North Carolina. In the words of my good friend Ruffin McNeil, who, well, you know, we also kicked out of the state not too long ago, we're going to love these teams up. We're going to find a way to get through this. Much like E. coli at the state fair, you know there's always a chance of danger when it comes to something you love. And there's always a chance of heartbreak when it comes to the teams we love. All we're asking right now is, can we just spread the heartbreak out a little bit? Just a little bit. Thanks. For Sports Channel 8, I'm Hayes Permore.